I am doing this video, as some of you have seen over the years. I do one every, I don't know, once in a while. Anyways, so with this video, this one is a little different to, I guess, kind of forewarn. It could be triggering for very religious people. So if you are not like open to the discussion of religion and spirituality and how they intersect and how they don't, this probably is not the video for you. This is a video about my truth that I have been discovering for myself, not just in spirituality, but also in, real life on earth here in our reality. Things that, are measurable here in this reality, like the dealing with emotional baggage and pain, and not having to carry that anymore. So that's real measurable. The rapidness in which everything is just kind of expanding. Originally, this was going to just be like a test 1, 2, make sure the lighting and everything was good, and had no boogers hanging on my nose or anything like that. But I'm just really feeling it. And I just want it to be as authentic as possible. Obviously, I jotted some stuff down because, the memory sometimes. I jotted some different things down, points that I wanted to remember. I jotted down some downloads or some visions that I got during meditation today. And then from my dreams that I had last night, and from a vision that I had the other day, just because I assumed that it was for my neighbors or somebody that was near me, but it could be for somebody that's watching this video right now. So basically, I guess we'll start with my lovely diagram, which has been vetted by my children, because I wanted to make sure, Riley and Aiden, who are 10 and 11. So I wanted to make sure that it was simple enough that even a child could understand it. So basically, I don't know, can you see this? Yeah, okay. So basically, the first circle, it says religion. And this was where I started. And as you can see, there's a lot of people there. All these hearts and stuff represent people. The second circle is spirituality. And Riley pointed out how they overlap. And she said that means that there are some people that are religious, and then there's some people that are religious and spiritual, and some people that are just spiritual, and then spiritual and trying to figure out what's over past that. And then there's past that. And I was like, is it something that you can attain during life, or is it something like heaven that you can't get until after death? So you can learn and research about heaven and prepare for it and live as if for heaven, but you can't actually experience it until you die. So because of that, I wanted to, I guess, try and express kind of where I am. So I wanted to express like where I am, and where I was not too long ago was in here where religion and spirituality intersect one another. But now I'm in just spirituality. And I know that I can already hear some people saying, what? She was not, we didn't raise her like that. And I don't mean like my parents. I mean anybody that considers themselves a spiritual, or a spiritual parent to me. And I have a lot of spiritual mothers and fathers and grandparents, because I have a hard head. And so God wanted me to have a lot of people to help raise me. But I know that some of them are probably like, This isn't to like bash or to put down Christianity or religions in general. I was born Christian. I was raised, I was baptized Christian. I was raised Christian. Christianity is always going to be the accent in which I speak my spiritual truth. Like it's always, no matter what spiritual language I'm speaking, it's gonna run spiritual. Christianity is always going to be that accent that I speak with, because we all have an origin of where we learned that there was something greater than ourselves, that there was something that was with immeasurable power, the ability to create and, be all these different places and do all these different things. And when that happens, like, how you understand that and how you understand further concepts are kind of like built on it. And even if you choose to go and walk a different path, still the concepts and things like that are still, like there. I guess the part of the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I've been led by Spirit to do so, and to kind of just explain, because there's going to be a lot of changes. Don't ask me what they are. I don't know. There are going to be a lot of changes, and they're going to happen really, really fast. Very, very fast. And because of that, and me being obedient to how I've been guided, and me seeing that my obedience to Spirit has given me not just powers, which is cool, but it's given me real spiritual growth. And it's also giving me emotional growth, like not just in the spiritual plane, which is great and it's wonderful and it's amazing. Let's be real though. We live on earth in human bodies. So yes, we do have a spiritual body, a divine body inside, but it is encased inside of a human body of flesh and blood, with emotions and temperaments and all of those things. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that what I'm studying now, what I'm into now, which is something that I've kind of always been into literally my whole life. I had no idea. I just didn't know. But psychology. Yep. Started going to school for psychology. Was interested in it. I learned, really kind of gotten into it, I think in like the 9th or the 10th grade in high school, taking a psychology class, and I just got bit by the bug, and learning about REM sleep and all of that stuff, and just really liking to ponder how the mind works and how different experiences and things like that affect us. And right now I'm like studying like this big, almost modge podge of neuroscience and philosophy, religion, all religions, all religions, spirituality, as well as psychology, astrology, a lot of ologies, astrophysics. Just math in general. Because it is literally the universal language. Just so many different things, and different concepts. The Akashic field. You know what I mean? Kundalini. I heard somebody talking about Kundalini yoga, and I was like, oh, I'm down with yoga. And so I was like, let me see what this Kundalini yoga is, because people know I love India. And so I was like, let me check out this Kundalini yoga. And that was Spirit. It was like that little breadcrumb that I needed to kind of lead me down the rabbit hole, to where at one point I was just like, once I started learning about chakra, and accidentally activated my root chakra, which was very interesting, and it kind of just like activated, and I had this Kundalini awakening, and I did not know what it was yet. I just thought it was a type of yoga. I thought I was about to leave out of my body. So I thought I was about to leave out of my body. I was like, okay, I didn't messed with something, and now I'm about to just like leave and go to another plane, and then they're gonna find like my body and they're not gonna know what happened, and maybe that's what happens to some people, and like they died of mysterious causes. So I'm experiencing this, and I've always had this like intuition. In Christianity, they call it the spirit of discernment, and my mom had it, and so I thought, like, I don't know, you can pass something genetically that's spiritual, or if it was just because I'm her child. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, so I it was something that I was always, kind of aware that I had. And it was something that I abused. I used to use as a party trick, when I would go out and drink, and I could tell people stuff about them, and they would be like blown away, that stuff that I should not know, that people had never seen in the bathroom, wherever, it didn't matter or whatever. And I was okay with that because I felt really kind of witchy and, just really culty. And I felt like it wasn't something that I could really share with my Christian people, because I felt like it would scare them. And I think in religions in general, people just they're afraid of things that are different than what they've kind of always associated with their religion and their particular denomination within their religion. And so I always felt like I was always interested. Why am I interested in all these different things? Like, got into essential oils and herbs and all of that stuff, and wanting to make stuff from scratch, and how does this work together, and how does this fit together, and all of those things, and thinking of that, and always looking to connect with people. And this girl, I remember one time she told me in group, she was just like, why do you always have to one-up people? If they tell a story, you have to tell a similar story that's better. And I was like, and when she said it, I didn't get what she meant, because what I thought I was doing was connecting us. That how, even though on the outside we looked different, in reality, we had experienced very similar things. And I had a lot of different experiences in life with different things where, I was just speaking my truth, and it rubbed people the wrong way. And I thought it was because I should just shut up. Was what I got. And, and no offense to my loved ones and stuff like that, they are also a product of their raising and their environment, and, the outside stimuli that the brain processes and, causes them to make the choices, the predictive choices that we all make, and so because of that, I think it was just kind of like, my family always knew I was weird and different, but we kind of live and it's getting better now. Like with these kids, they're a lot more fortunate than, like my dad and them, especially my grandma and them, so like they're able to be themselves and stuff like that. And parents weren't really given a choice like nowadays. Like, it's like, you accept me or I'm gone. Like, you never gonna see your grandkids or whatever, like people are standing up for themselves and saying like, hey, I'm here. You don't have to agree with my life choices, but don't pretend like you don't see me. And, I always knew that I was different. And I guess I kind of got to a point to where I was just like, okay, I've tried to fit in. Which I didn't think of it as like fitting in. I thought I was bettering myself by making myself smaller, which is something that women do in general. We just do. We downplay our gifts and our talents all the time, our intelligence all the time. We do it. We don't shine as brightly as we should, because we don't want to overshadow our men. We don't want to overshadow our parents. We don't want to, like be the different one and break out of the mold. You know what I'm saying? And so I know that a lot of women, especially black women, it's like, why would you want to be that one lone wolf? And you're not the lone wolf by choice. Like, you're the lone wolf because you've been shunned. Like, you're not signing up for that. It's like, you got enough stuff to deal with being a sister. Like, being like the most attractive, ethnicity on the planet while simultaneously being the most hated on. Like, sis, you got work. Like, I get it, but I came to a realization when I was in the shower, and I don't know what it is about like water, but I get a lot of stuff that way, like showers, baths, rain, sometimes even washing my hands. I get a lot of what I now know are like messages from spirit and downloads and stuff like that, where I just thought they were crazy ideas, but just thought they were wacky ideas. But it came to me, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I get it now. Now I know why the divine gave me these big eyes. He gave me these big eyes so that I could see the love. I could see the good in people. And I was like, why did he give me this big mouth? Like, why do I always feel compelled to say these things? And he gave me this big mouth so that I could speak my truth. He gave me this big mouth so that I could speak up for the people that cannot speak for themselves. And I'm like, why on earth did he make me so tall? Like, I am really, really tall. And he made me so tall so I couldn't hide. So I couldn't blend in. So I would stand out so that it was apparent on sight that this woman, that this person was different. That she was literally heads above the rest. Yeah. Some of you are thinking right now, like, yes, sis, that's why. Yes, and for the little ones too. I'm not saying that I'm only talking to tall people. I'm not. Some of you got big mouths. Some of you got big eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to wonder, like, why I had this big heart, where I just had a heart for people, to help people, and so many times feeling like people took advantage of that. And then when I needed them to be there, they weren't there, or they weren't there in the capacity in which I was there for them. Yeah. And I got tired of that. And I was just like, there has to be something more. It has to be something that goes beyond religion, and it goes beyond psychology, and it goes beyond neuroscience and philosophy and all of these things. I was looking for truth. Psychology says that our childhood experiences greatly influence us. So how I was thinking was like, wow, my son will be with me for maybe 20 years, maybe 22 if you count into college. Like, even if he lived at home and just went to college, then like he would be with me about 22 years. And that small amount of time compared to how long he's going to probably live is very short. Even if he's going to live anywhere from 60 to 100 years, I'm hoping 100 plus, but he's going to live anywhere from 60 to 100 years, yet the first 20 years of his life are going to affect how he loves, how he works, what he reaches for or doesn't reach for in society. Like, so many different things. There are some scars that people are in their 60s and 70s that still carry with them that occurred in their formative years. You know what I'm saying? In some cases in their prepubescent years, like, in the early childhood, and wounds that psychology and religion and neuroscience and all those things were not able to heal. There are people that are walking around right now carrying active, some not just scars, but active wounds from injuries that occurred decades ago. And they're not finding any relief from it. And what I found for me, because I'm not touting any religion, for me, Kundalini is a concept. The Akashic field is a concept. Like, even my understanding of God right now is a concept. Sometimes I call him God. Sometimes I call him the creator. Sometimes he's the divine. Sometimes he's Papa Sky, the universe. But also bringing in another element, which is, Mama Gaia, like Mother Earth, and learning about grounding myself and, using, crystals and stones and things like that, and drawing on that elemental energy and using the sunlight energy to charge myself. Like, we know scientifically or medically, whatever you want to call it, that we need sunlight. If you don't get it, it can affect the imbalances and hormones and things like that. Like, I suffered from that and had to be on medication, once I moved up here, because I wasn't getting that much sunlight with the 6 months of winter in Minnesota. It's real petty like that up here. Anyways. So, like, moving up here, not getting as much sunlight, and really struggling with bipolar disorder, really struggling with severe depression. I went to treatment twice. Like, I came up here and I was like sober, and then it was like, and then it was like I was sober, and then it was like, and it was like I was working on stuff, but I was not. It was like I was chipping some stuff away, but I wasn't really getting into it. And really, when I guess kind of got interested in tarot, I don't know why, because like I'm somebody that has checked my horoscope since I was a teenager, as I think probably most people, like at some point in your life, you're just like, what is they saying about them Capricorns? Like, I'm not a Capricorn. But like, so I get an email and it's always some card that I don't know what any of that stuff means. And I don't know. I guess I was feeling the pain of the loss of love, and wanted a way to kind of like explain. And I was like, oh, let's see what a love reading is. And I started watching these readings on YouTube. And I will say San Tarot, check her out. She is awesome. She's really awesome. She's very spiritual. She's also very smart. She was the first person outside of yoga to mention Kundalini in one of her readings, and she doesn't usually use the traditional Rider-Waite tarot. And so she gets, different downloads and visions and things like that. And then she also doesn't put dates on there. So, like, she just tells these storylines as they come to her, and she's really taught me a lot about learning how to really train my gift, instead of trying to make it look like what I think this person's looks like, or what, just telling the story as it's given to me. But anyways, back to the main purpose that I'm talking about, which is, I don't want to say like introspection, because that just sounds so, I don't know, word that doesn't sound like fun, and it's not. I'm just going to let you know that it's not going to be fun. It's going to hurt, and I think my looking to kind of like get some answers for my romantic hurt made me get interested in the tarot. And the tarot kind of like, it was like a cool, like, oh, this is cool that I can do this. But then I kind of started getting more into my zodiac and my natal birth chart, and really kind of understanding like, oh, I'm more than just an Aries. I'm, also Leo twice, Sagittarius twice, like I've got Libra twice, like learning how these different retrogrades, like when the Scorpio full moon came through, I'm glad that at that point that I was isolated, because I felt isolated, and I didn't realize that God was isolating me for a reason. But like when that retrograde came through, I was purging so many wounds, some things I didn't even know were wounds. Okay, like everybody was kind of going a little bananas, but like, I learned about that through the tarot, and it gave me a kind of sense of power that I could, ask questions of spirit and like get at least something that I could look and see and say. And then if it resonates with, my spirit, like you have your instincts and when something makes you feel uncomfortable. A lot of times what we do is we override it, especially as women, we override it with politeness and stuff like that. But, and ignore it, like somebody makes you feel uncomfortable and you're just like, why am I thinking that? And then, if something, God forbid, happens and you're like, I knew it, like he made me feel a certain way and I ignored it. And we've got to stop doing that, men and women. We've got to stop ignoring our instincts. Like, when something is resonating with you, even if it makes you uncomfortable. I find a lot of times if something really makes me uncomfortable or makes me angry, now how I'm approaching stuff is if it makes me really uncomfortable, it makes me angry, then I'm like, okay, let me go back and look at it, because what is it about that makes me so angry? Why am I so pressed? You know what I mean? And so just really getting into that. And so the tarot kind of like gave me a way, and then the natal chart and understanding that, and seeing that this was just like a map to me. Like, it's amazing. Like being able to go and see these different aspects, some things that my parents, and my siblings don't even know about me, though, that shadow side that we keep from everyone, including the people that we love. Some of those deep, dark, impulses or thoughts or whatever, or things that we secretly struggle with, or we may not be secretly struggling with, those different things, like it, to deal with it, And so, anyways, the ability to be able to get into that and get into those things, I gained through my meditation, through practicing on grounding, and you just gonna have to Google that. But practicing grounding, and I would do it outside, and Spirit wanted me to go outside in my front yard, and sit in the grass, just because backyard, you can't really sit back there, but sit in the grass. And now I live right next door to a motorcycle repair shop, and there's a tow in whatever impound thing like across the street. Like, it's a busy street, and I would feel really uncomfortable, and I was just like, and Spirit was just like, you got to learn to be able to find your center in distractions. Like, you got to be able to center yourself in the midst of a storm, because you're not going to, in some situations, get to pause. Okay, let's go. No. Like, something pops off. You got to be able to find your center and react spiritually without going all the way off the rails. And so the grounding before meditating, and then the meditating in the sun, and just really getting that sun energy, and working with, the crystals, and working on womb healing my womb, healing, my back. I've been working on healing my back, and I mean, like, I'm sitting Indian style. I've not been able to do that in quite a while. I mean, I do got me a couple of pillows underneath my butt cheek, but just to be able to do that, I can't do it forever. And when I get up, I'm a little creaky or whatever, but like, just being able to do those different things, and really seeing the difference in my body, in my energy levels, real measurable things in my skin, popping, all of those things. Like, it's not just that I've been given spiritual gifts and things like that. I've also experienced real physical things, but the spiritual part is to me is the most important. I learned about, twin flame union and a twin flame ascension, and that was what led me to the Kundalini yoga and then the Kundalini awakening, and experiencing a consciousness shift to where I was directly connected with spirit in a way that I had only just nudged, and like I said before, it's not even scratching the surface. But I have some different things about visions, or whatever you want to call them. The first one was a ballerina snow globe, like a music box. It was like a snow globe with a little ballerina inside of it, and it had significance. It was from the vision, I could gather it wasn't really like very clear except for the snow globe. Whoa, okay, well, that means something to somebody. This ballerina snow globe was either a gift from someone that has passed, or it was something that was very special that the two of them shared, but the person is no longer here. In the vision, the woman is clutching, she's looking at the snow globe, and then she clutches it to herself, and she clutches it to her breast, and she's holding the snow globe so tightly that it literally, like she literally absorbs it into herself. And she wanted to absorb this precious memory inside of herself, because she just felt so much sorrow and so much pain from the loss of this person that I believe was the person that purchased the gift, either a mother or a grandmother or an aunt. But yeah, so I had that. And it's something that's very precious, and I don't know if that means that someone broke it or it's lost, or someone stole it or whatever. I don't know, but it was the emphasis was on the snow globe. Another one was black pelican. I don't think I've ever seen a black pelican before, but it was a black pelican, and it was diving down, and it was just diving down towards the sea, and it kept diving at this kind of like angle like this. And it was trying to grab like I don't want to say like a orb, but sort of like I don't know what was in there, but whatever it was, these little bubbles or balls or whatever that it was trying to grab, it was like it was grabbing him, and it was going in its mouth. And there are things that's supposed to open up, but his wouldn't open. It wouldn't open. He kept trying to grab it, and it just kept falling out. So he had to keep like catching them. It was almost like, like in a video game where you're like, okay, if you missed that one, you just kind of keep going because there's more opportunities. But it was just like he kept trying to grab it, and he couldn't because the little pouch would not open. I don't know what that means. The next one was a treehouse. So apparently a father has built a treehouse for his son, and they're supposed to have a sleep over, or they're going to spend the night in the treehouse. The vision I saw from 2 points. I saw up from the mother's point of view, which was that treehouse was really, really high. She was like, my babies are really, really high up there. And the other way I saw it was from the son. He was looking down, and he looked down like his mom was so far away. And the treehouse was so dark on the inside, even though it was still daytime, because there's no lights inside. It's still, there's leaves above it, so it's very shadowy on the inside, and thinking like, Dad's really excited about this. And I'm supposed to be a big boy to do this. And so the mother gives the son this lantern, but it's like got these leaves around the top. It's like made like palm fronds, like, and it's made almost like a lantern, but it's like a plastic version of if you just took some palm leaves, like, like something you would see on like SpongeBob or something like that. But it was like a little plastic one for her, and she got it, and she was just like, this light is kind of like my love or whatever. Like, I'll be with you up here in the treehouse with your dad, and this will give you light and everything, And it was reassuring, I think, for the both of them, for her to be able to give that to him. She felt a little bit better And then him receiving that as well, and having that illumination, but also having that love and something special from someone. Like my little necklace, she's a little banged up, but it was a gift from one of my fellow veterans. His mother used to collect like all these different antique necklace sets and things like that, and she passed away, and he had a couple sets, and he wonderfully gifted me one when I was in treatment. I was so very touched, and it's missing some stones, but I don't care, because I can feel the love and the care and that just positive energy that she had when she wore this, so much so that when I first got it, I didn't wear it. I don't know why I didn't like it. I didn't wear it because it just made me, but it made me feel a lot of emotion. So anyways, I had a vision in the shower the other day where it was almost like a spider like washed down into the drain like while I was in the shower, which was not true, because first of all, I have always, since I was a child, been terrified of spiders. I used to have a pet spider when I was like 8, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe we had a falling out, and that's why I was terrified of them after that. But it was like I didn't know it was vision, but it was like I knew it wasn't a spider, like a spider wasn't really there. And it washed into the drain with the shower water, and it caught on the edge, and it was hanging on the edge like it's holding on, like, for dear life. And then Spirit was just like, the spider has two options in this situation. It can either A, continue to hold on and hope that at some point I turn off the water before it dies, or it can let go, surrender to the pipe, and hope that it's quickly washed somewhere where it washes out, where it can get to safety. And I don't know who that's for, but another vision that I had while I was meditating was a woman that is in a relationship, and it could be a situationship with a man. And in the vision, the man was hugging the woman too close to him. And as he was hugging her, he was reaching behind her into her purse, and he would take some money. And it happened like 3 times. Like, it was like it's like they were hugging, and then he just kind of reached back there and take a little money. And then he like hug her a little tighter and reach back there and take a little money. And from the vision, I got that the woman is aware. Like, he's sneaking and he's doing it. And it's like she knows that it's him, but she loves the love that he gives her. She loves having a man, and she knows that if she confronts him, that the relationship is going to be over. But kick him to the curb, girl. Kick him to the curb. Like, it's time for us to burst forth like the phoenix, okay? Like, it's time to shed all of that marginalizing ourselves, being small, downplaying our intelligence, our gifts, and our talents. It is time to shine bright like a diamond. Months ago, before I even was interested in tarot, Spirit led me to want to change my mind and my thought process last year, to start changing things. I quit smoking. Like, I used to go out like all the time. Like, I stopped. Like, I changed like how I drank. Like, instead of drinking like liquor and stuff and tequila and stuff, I was like, oh, just drink some champagne, and then and since then, now I don't even drink that. And it's not, no, it wasn't like I was like, on this date I'm gonna stop doing that. No, those things have just fallen away. I also don't crave as much meat, red meat, as I used to, like, or meat in general as I used to. Just a lot of different things that Spirit has been like interworking into my life starting last year. And one of those things was changing my name. So some of you might have got a friend request from Akomi Dark Star. And that has like a lot of different meaning, and I'll make a whole nother video about that. But it was because Anitra had to die. Anitra had to die in all of her forms. So all of her names, she had to die in order for me to be reborn. And I'm gonna always be a Nitra to my mom and dad. Like, I'm not gonna make my mama call me a Comey. Like, no. Matter of fact, I think they just call me Nitra. Like, my grandma is gonna call me whatever, okay? If she called me that, she might just be like, child, come here. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about trying to change people's religion or eating habits or any of that. That's not what this is about. This is about me telling you that I have found something by looking within myself, by self-introspection, by meditating, by really digging deep. And if you look up some of those different things that I mentioned, if you felt like any of this resonated with you, and you look up some of those things that sound interesting or make you feel a certain way, you look those up and find that truth for yourself, not what you were taught, not what society tells you, not what you feel obligated to say or do based on your environment, but real truth that resonates inside of you, that when you find it, it just bubbles up inside of you, and so many things that used to not make any sense finally come together and make sense, like sacred geometry. It's like, oh, maybe those wacky people who were like, in my past life, weren't as crazy as I originally thought they were. Like, they were just people that had passed a level of consciousness that most people on the planet are just not going to attain at this time. And it's not their time, and that's just it's a rabbit hole, just put it that way. But another thing was, after the man stealing from the lady, my thumb, the sensation of either needles pricking it or a thumb injury. So, and it was my left thumb, and it was like really persistent. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh. And in my mind, I got, I got originally nerve neuropathy, and then I went and looked up, and it's actually peripheral neuropathy, which usually can come from either diabetes or from an injury or infection or being exposed to toxins and stuff like that. But I just wanted to mention that for anybody that maybe have been experiencing like sharp pains in your fingers. It was in my thumb, but it doesn't mean that it has to be there. It could be in your hands or in your feet or whatever. You're going to want to get that checked out just to make sure that everything is okay. I think that's it. Meditation. Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention is the importance of the dealing with those inner demons. It's really important. Your brain is experiencing life inside your brain, but through all these impulses and things like that that come from outside stimuli and stimuli from within. So it's it's monitoring all your inside inside systems and things like that, as well as your outside systems. And it's so very important. Like you need your brain to be functioning in order for you to breathe and do all those things. But not just that, like growing your hair and you're regulating your blinking and your saliva and your voice. Ladies, a lot of estrogen, voice higher. Fellas, testosterone, voice lower. And all of those things. And to me, I thought it was very fascinating. Like, the brain is an amazing computer, just predictive in text, but it also is a seat of where we process our spirituality as well, which is really, really crazy. Because in my mind, like when I think about where my soul resides, it's like somewhere around here. And I was thinking about how every molecule and bit of us in our bodies, every atoms and bits of our DNA are encoded with self-preservation and fail-safes and things like that to protect us, all of us, the pieces and the entirety. and how amazing and important love is. It is the reason why there is a twin flame, so that you are forced to turn within. Yeah, when you have a twin flame awakening, you're forced to turn within because they're your mirror. And you're forced to turn within because you're like trying to figure out this person. And unlike in other relationships where you were just kind of like, okay, on the surface, like, what did I do? What went wrong or whatever. Like, you're really going in, it awakens, and it doesn't happen all the time. Like, it's not like a soulmate or whatever. But it causes you to really turn within, and if the great architect sets things up right, then it is going to be able to activate your awakening, and you are going to be able to connect with the Creator in a way that you have not been able to do so. And if you're able to also maintain that connection, that's wonderful. Sometimes people go to union and sometimes they don't. But the benefit is that you get this great spiritual awakening and relationship with the divine, which is amazing because that's eternal. Okay, that's eternal. That's forever. That transcends this. But it's also nice if you can get the girl or get the boy, that's also nice as well. But what I love is that this caused me to really look inside of